Okay, I am live. You know how I do. I like to wait for the screen to get a little bigger, and then we'll get on after it. Boom. Okay, there we go. Hi, Facebook world, my squad, my team, my group. How are you guys doing? It is April 25th, Monday, everyone, yeah, right? Do some ET for me. Thank God it's Monday. Let's get after it. Let's crush it. Man, this is video number 5 for client questions. And I say this about all my videos, but I truly love this one because I think it elevates our not only our understanding, elevates my understanding as well because I get these great questions and I get to, you know, expand upon my knowledge and figure out what the right answer is and just get a little deeper with you guys too. Um, so it's my number 5 with client questions. And I'm so excited to share with you guys these questions. There's 2 questions, and the way I like to think about it before I was doing this video, they're higher level questions. And so they're not, hey, should I invest? Should I not invest? It's a pretty, for me, it's a lower level question on, because of course you should, right? But some people, for certain levels, these get to be higher level questions where you can really geek out a little bit. Because I'm a nerd, okay? Like, all my nerds out there, you know what I mean? Put your hand up. Like, we love to learn, we love to grow, and I'm excited about sharing these questions because they're a little higher level. They're not the highest level, but they're just higher level, and you get to geek out a little bit. And so, man, I'm so excited this week, guys. I'm going to love everyone I have, whether it's my tips that's coming up probably on Wednesday or my investment strategy. I think that's video number 3. Oh, I'm so excited, guys. It's going super, super well on that. And I can't wait to share with you guys because it's just exciting. And I hope you guys, man, whether you're doing it now or in the future, you get to look back on some of these videos, especially my investment strategies. That's going to be huge for you guys if you guys one day or you kind of want to start investing in businesses or real estate, because I think you're going to get so much value. You're going to see the journey, you're going to see how it's done, you're going to see the process, so it becomes less scary, and I think that's just invaluable to people. So without further ado, my first question, this one came from my Facebook. And so I posted something about 401ks last week, and 2 of my buddies, one was an Air Force guy, Corey, and one of my other buddies, I forgot his name. They were talking about 401ks and IULs. And so 401ks, as you guys know, comes from your business or your job where your employer goes, hey, I'm going to match you 50%, 100%, whatever the case may be, your contributions. Great strategy. And the other one, IUL, is Index Universal Life. So it's more of another investment strategy where it can kind of mimic the market. And so they're great, they're fantastic, but they're having this debate because I posted about 401ks, and it just turned into this beautiful conversation where I hope, if you guys want to get some value on just different strategies, different thought processes of investing, definitely check out that post and just kind of go through it and ask yourself, well, what are they talking about? Like, why are they saying this and that? Because there's a lot of content on that post, a lot of great strategies and stuff like that. So I urge you, check it out. It's on my page, but a lot of good content, higher level content too. And so the first one was, I have 100% max contribution or 100% contribution from my company for my 401k. Should I do an IBC? Should I do an infinite banking concept? Whole life policy, or if it's not IBC, just do like an IUL policy where it's dividends are going to be paid up additions, right? So all your dividends, everything's going to get rolled into PUAs, paid up additions. Here's what I'll say with that. This high level. This is why I love high level, because there's so many different answers on how it could go depending on your particular situation, your particular portfolio, right? That's why I love these. I love these because you can geek out a little bit. And so this is what I'll say. If you are, say you're tight, say you're my first type of client and you're pretty tight and you don't really have a lot of cash flow after you pay your bills, you max contribute your 401k, or you put all your 401k in there and they match it. I would say I would stick with it. I would do that all day, every day. That's free cash. It's the same way I explained it in my Facebook post. If you've got an employer that's going to do 100% match, or even 50% match on your 401ks, what I would do is I would figure out how I can throw as much money into that 401k. Hopefully it's a Roth 401k, but if it's not, I would still do that. If that's all you can do that. Do that all day, every day. That's free money. You know what I mean? Again, it's like getting 100% on returns. Can't beat that. So that's what I would do. If it's kind of tight and you can't really afford to do an additional investment in the future, hopefully you're kind of building margin, and the more money you make, because again, the older you get, hopefully you're making more money, you're becoming more valuable in the marketplace, and you're figuring out just how to add more value either to your job, to the market as an entrepreneur, as an investor, as whatever the case may be. You're adding more value, so you're making more money. And then so there's more margin where you can take that extra margin and maybe do another policy or do something else where, or putting more of that money into your 401k, right? So I would say if it's tight, if you're that client that's pretty tight, you don't have a lot of cash flow, but you have a max, you have a 100% contribution 401k company, I would say double down on that. Put as much money as you can to that 401k, especially if they're contributing with you. But what I'll say with that is you need to start getting smart on what are your fees, right? So this is something I know it took me a while to start doing, but you got to start looking into, you got to be like a scientist, right? And you got to go into your 401ks and whatever your company's offering, research that company, research that plan specific for your company, and go, hey, what are the fees? How much is it actually costing me for this plan, right? Because it might be 5% fees or 4% fees or whatever the case may be. From there, then you can really figure out, am I going to get to my goal, my retirement plan with this, and just kind of have a better sense of how long it's going to take. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people, and I'm guilty of it too, when I first started investing and kind of doing this thing, is we get lazy and we go, hey, the company's looking out for my best interest, and so this is going to be a good 401k plan. I got to tell you, brother, sister, that's not the case. They don't, man, I own my own business. We don't know anything about that. What happens is, for the most part, and I can't speak for all companies, there's some great companies out there, there's some great CEOs, CFOs that are going in there and they're really doing the research. We're supposed to, because again, when we're a business owner and we offer these plans, we're treated as a fiduciary. So we're supposed to know legally what that plan entails, but I can tell you right now, high percentage of companies, they don't. They don't know what that plan entails. They don't know what it's really invested in. Because a lot of these companies, they usually will benefit. They will throw you a bone as a company if you have all your employees on this plan, right? Because it benefits them. And so, again, I'm not speaking ill of your company. I'm sure they're doing the right thing, but you are in control of your own life. Brother, sister, like, you are in control of your own destiny. Nobody's going to invest better than you. No one's going to take the time to read over documents and read over your 401k policy and all these different things to make sure it's set up where you're going to be the most beneficial. It's going to reach your plan, your goal in 20, 30, 40 years. And so you need to hire someone to do that, or do it yourself. It's really easy. You just kind of go through. It's boring, but you got to go through and just make sure, hey, this is how much they're taking out in fees. This is what they're investing in. This is what it looks like every year. This is what I'm making. I'm making 5%, 10%. Whatever the case may be, net the fees. And so from there, you can kind of extrapolate and figure out, hey, this is going to reach my goal, or it's not going to reach my goal. But I'm telling you right now, from experience, the owners of the company, the CEOs, CFOs, all that kind of stuff, most of the time they're not doing that research. The 401k company that's sponsoring them are just like, hey, offer me this many employees, I could do this to your employees, and I'm going to give you this amount, you know what I mean? Like, I'm going to hook you up with this or that. And again, I'm not speaking specifics because it's different. Again, I don't want to be held to my words on specifics because it just depends. It's different. But what I can say confidently is most of the time, they don't know the fee percentage that's going to be for employees for them to kind of manage your money, right? Maybe it's 2%, maybe it's 5%, maybe it's 8%. It just depends. What I'll say, there are great companies out there. I'm not sponsored by this company at all, but I've done a lot of research in them. America's Best 401k, great 401k program. And so if you're a business owner like myself, and you want to add, you're at that level, you want to add additional benefits for your employees, America's Best 401k, fantastic company. Again, they're not sponsoring me. There's no America's Best 401k ad coming up. That's not the case. I like to give you as much information as I can for free, just so you can be blessed, right? I want you to be blessed as much as you can and give you as much value as I possibly can without any hidden strings attached. I make zero money on this, so. But yeah, that's a great company. If you're a business owner like myself and you're looking to add extra value to your employees, I would check them out. Their fees are very, very low, and I think it'd be a great ad, a great benefit add to your employees. But with that, so say you're someone else. Say that you do have extra money, or say that you have a 401k, but it's not 100%. It's just like you just put it in there. Man, I would say, so say you have, I know there's questions around if you have 100%. Or 50% or something like that. I would obviously do that all day. Say it's not though. Say you have a 401k, but it's just you just putting money into it. I wouldn't personally do that. I think there's better ways to do it. I think with investing, there's so many different ways to skin this cat, and some of the ways to skin this cat are way better than the others, but they might be a little hidden. You might have to do a little research. You might have to talk to the right people to kind of get that set up. And they might be a paradigm shift in what you thought or what other people think are great investments, right? Like if you're following the crowd on investments, you're usually going to be behind, right? So like crypto. Crypto was really, really popular, and it was really a great investment before everyone started talking about it. As soon as everyone started talking about it, you know what I mean? Like it was like 60 grand for a Bitcoin. It was sometimes a little bit before when it started. I mean, I started hearing about it when it was at like 5 grand, but that's because I'm kind of in the space, and maybe you guys did, maybe you didn't. But most of the time, when the general population kind of hear about something, it's usually most of the time too late to start investing. You kind of miss the window on that, and so man, with things like if you're not getting like 100% contribution on 401ks, if it's not 50%, things like that, I would do something else. I would do a Roth IRA is better than that. Specifically, if you don't have it in a mutual fund, if you kind of have it in like ETFs and stuff like that, something where your fees. Again, the goal of investing is you want to cut down as much fees as you can, because you want as much money as you possibly can put in there to start making you money and compounding year after year. The more fees are in there, that pie gets shorter, it gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and it takes forever. The bigger you can get, the more money you can get into your investment as fast as possible and have it compound, the quicker and faster you're going to be rich. The quicker and faster that money is going to start compounding, and getting to a point where now it's self-sufficient, where you can withdraw that money and it's going to keep compounding. One of the cool things we talked about in that group was the 4% rule, right? And so if you know a little bit about investing, there's this rule, this 4% rule, to whenever your money gets to a certain point, you can start withdrawing 4%, and it keeps compounding every single year, right? And 4% sometimes as well, when it comes to like $1 million, you can withdraw that 4% and still not be as taxed or tax-free in that environment. And so with that, I'll say, with the 4% rule, again, how can I say this where it's a great strategy, but again, you have to hit that million to be able to pull out that 40K, right? You have to get to that high number, and if you're getting jammed up with fees, you're never going to get that number. unless you're just putting all of your paycheck in there, and it's just like you're not getting a lot of losses. You're just on a lucky streak, right? Because again, with that too, in like a 401k or IRA, you're subject to the market losses. And again, you don't lose until you pull it out, so you can always obviously make it back. But when you are subject to those losses, it does stop that compounding effect, right? It hinders it growing and compounding as fast as possible. I'm not saying don't invest in the market. I think you're crazy. I invest in the market. I think it's fantastic. You can do it in great conservative ways where it can keep compounding. It's less likely you're going to lose. Again, right? What's Warren Buffett's first rule? Don't lose money. Second rule, see rule number 1, right? So you don't want to lose money. And so with that, I don't know much more I could speak on that. I'd say what I would do if it's not max, I would do another strategy like IBC or Roth IRA or something like that. But again, you're still subject. The reason I would do like an IBC is because you can set it up where it's like a whole life IBC where you're not subject to losses in the market, or even like an IUL, which it's not IBC, it's called something different, but same concept, where you can have it where it's an IUL where you can make the gains, but then your bottom is zero, right? So say the market hits 22% negative or 30. I think in '08 it was like 30. On certain people it was 36 to maybe 50% loss. It was somewhere around there. Don't quote me on those numbers, but you'd be at zero, right? So say you had $100,000 in there in your IUL. Well, if you're in the market with $100,000, you're subject to 36 to maybe 50% losses. If you're in an IUL, you're subject to zero losses, right? You just don't make anything, right? So say it's a bad year, you make zero money on it, but if it's a good year, you'll make that capped amount. Say the cap's 9%, 10%. You only make 10 versus the 20, but you make zero losses. And if you have any understanding about just kind of like investing, compound interest, all that kind of stuff, the losses take you so much longer to get back versus the wins. And so that's why it's very smart to kind of have it in that type of environment where it's capped, where you have zero losses and then you're capped at a certain point, because it takes twice as much money to get you back after a loss to zero than it is for maybe more of a conservative capped approach. And so I'd research more into that. I mean, I could have a video explaining more on that, on just how it is. That's the way it kind of works out, where if you have losses, it takes you a lot longer to get it back. I mean, that's a great question. I could do a whole segment on that because there's so much to unpack there. But yeah, so that's what I'd say with that. Okay, my next question. I know that was kind of a higher level question, guys, higher level thinking, and so I don't want to lose you on that. But what I'll say, if it's max on 401k, take it all day, every day. And the only thing I'd say with that is do your due diligence, because again, it's your responsibility to make sure your retirement plan is set up to help you reach your goals, right? So you need to have your goals, and then you need to make sure that this plan I'm doing is going to get me there. If it's not going to get you there based on your research, again, you got to be a scientist. You got to go in and you got to check your fees. You got to check how much I'm making now, what's been the history of this particular fund or whatever the case may be, and is it going to get me to my goal? Because I want $1 million when I retire. Is it going to get you there? And if it does get you there, what age is it going to get you there? You know what I mean? Or if it's not going to get you there with what you're contributing now, how much are you going to have to contribute to get you to your goal? Because if you're not, say you're not measuring, how the hell are you going to know? How in the world, I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer, but like I think about this with everything. Like, if you're not measuring, how are you going to know when you hit your goal? How are you going to know when you're on track? Right? Like on weight loss, you measure your weight loss. I need to lose a pound a week or 2 pounds a week, or I need to gain this much, I need to be this % body fat. I'm at 15% today, I need to be at 5%, so every 2 weeks I want to lose 1%, or whatever the case may be. But you measure, like if I want to lose weight, I know I can only eat this many macros a day. You measure that every single day, and that's how you're going to get to your goal. Same thing with finances, same thing with investing, same thing with all this stuff we're talking about. You have to measure. If you're not measuring, you're wrong. You need to measure, okay? I hope I beat a dead horse with that, you know what I mean? I think that's the expression. So measure. Okay, next question. Another higher level question, and so I love these questions, guys. I hope I'm not losing you. How much should I contribute to my IBC strategy? Okay, so IBC, guys, I've talked about this a lot. I think it's a staple to your investment strategy. It's not the only thing you do, but I think it's the foundation. I've said this before 1,000 times, but I'll say it again 1,001. There's so many benefits to having an IBC account, an IBC policy set up as your foundation. You can use it for so many different things, and there's just so much value, and you can have it paid by your company or whatever the case may be. I mean, it's just an amazing, amazing strategy. It's the best strategy I've heard so far. That is less risky. There's so many benefits to it. A lot of the wealthy people are doing it. You know what I mean? Like, you got the Donald Trumps, you got even Joe Biden's kind of said, I'm not trying to hate on Joe Biden, but like, he set it up. You've got companies from Verizon, all the banks do it, Chase, all of them. They have their funds going into an IBC account as well. I mean, you've got big, big companies. I've got a slide that lists all the companies that are doing it, you know, and so you got to ask yourself, what do they know that I don't know? Why are they putting their money there? Aha, higher level question. Not that, hey, I don't think this makes sense. You got to go, hey, why are the rich people doing these strategies? What value are they finding that I don't see yet? That's a higher level question. I know it doesn't sound like it, but it is. Whenever you start asking the questions about, hey, why are they doing that? You know what I mean? Like, what value are they finding? Or hey, anything like that. Any type of question that's going to help you get out of your frame of thinking. Because your frame of thinking is only going to get you the results that you're getting today. And so if you're like, hey, Brian, I want to be a millionaire, but you got a brain that thinks like a thousandaire, you'll never be a millionaire. All right? And how many people can attest to that? How many people know what I'm talking about? Right? All of you should know exactly what I'm talking about. Like, if you're, say, someone who is, not the best in shape, because of how you think, how you, the routines and the strategies that you use on your fitness or nutrition, that mindset, you're never going to be a David Goggins. You're never going to be a Jocko Willink. You're never going to be some of these amazing athletes that are just savages because their mindset's different. You think one way about it, they think a different way about it. The way they think about it allows them to create different strategies and different plans on how they're going to execute every single day to get them the results that they have. Come on. That was amazing. I'm going to have to high-five myself on that one. That was amazing. I don't mean to toot my own horn, but yeah, like, do you guys get that? Like, I need you to get that in your soul. Like, okay, like, I see what he's saying. Like, I've got the exact life that I have today because of who I am today. Now, I'm not stuck. I'm not stuck on who I am today. I can change that whenever I want, but I have to acknowledge and I have to own that I'm exactly where I'm at today because of how I think or who I show up as, right? You got to own that. And then you go, how can I show up, or how can I be like Grant Cardone? Or how can I be like Robert Kawasaki? Or how can I be like Elon Musk? Ooh, I wish, right? I wish I could be like Elon Musk. That guy is an animal. That guy is just on another level, and I love him. We have to have Elon Musk in this world because they are, man, it's too bad we can't make him president, right? That guy would be fantastic. But again, change your thinking, you change your life. And so, here's the question, how much should I contribute to my IBC strategy? Man, this question, I love this question because it's not a black and white. I love questions that have nuance, right? That take a little bit more thinking and a little bit more strategy, and it's not like yes or no. Same thing with the first question. It's not as simple as yes or no. It could be good for you, it could not be good for you. It could benefit you or could not benefit you. If you have a 401k that's got max contribute, you do that all day. And I'd advise you to do that all day because it's free money. You're not going to beat it. So with this question, it depends on a lot of factors. And so if you're a young guy or a young girl, and or even older, it really doesn't matter your age. It does a little bit, but not as much. What I would say is, what's your goal? That's number one. That's what I always ask all my clients. They go, hey, I like IBC, or I like investing. What should where should I start? And I go, okay, where are you at today? And they'll give me their numbers. Hey, I've got this much in checking and savings, and I've got this much in my IRA, and I've got this much in stocks and bonds, or whatever the case may be. And I go, okay, sweet. So you're around here net worth wise. Where do you want to be, and when? Like, what age do you want to be there? Man, I want to be. Most of them want to be millionaires, right? Like that's kind of the, you know what I mean? Like we're the generation of the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire phenomena, where it was just like, oh man, I want to be a millionaire, because a millionaire was, it's just thought of as this amazing achievement. Which again, I want to be a millionaire, but $1 million really isn't what it used to be. But still, it's still cool. It'd be cool to be like, hey, I'm a millionaire. And I'm getting there, and I'm sure you're going to get there as well. Like that's our goal, is we want to be there at that $1 million. And so that's mostly what I get. It's like, I want to be a million. I want to have 1.5 or 2 million. I want to have 3 million, whatever the case may be. And I love it. I love when I hear those goals, because they're fantastic. And so what I'll say is, okay, so you're here. This is where you're at. Sorry, I got to get this camera. It's always backwards. Here's where you're at right here. Here's your net worth. Here's what you're doing, and you want to be here. Right? You want to be at $2 million. How do you plan on getting there? What's your strategy? And some go real estate, or I'm just going to keep buying businesses, or I want to buy real estate every year, and I'm going to buy it and I'm going to rent it out, and it's a great strategy, but it's not. There's so many other things that go into that, so I never try to shut people down on that, because I love that. It's just, what strategy are you going to use to be able to buy those houses? What, like, how are you going to be able to accumulate that wealth in this time frame? Because again, you're here and you want to get to 2 million here, and you don't really have a clear strategy. You have a plan, but it's not written out on, I need to have this kind of property at this year, then this kind of property, and then at this year I'm going to consolidate, and I'm going to do a 1035 exchange, and I'm going to buy this, and then that, you know what I mean? Like, that's a plan. That's a realistic plan. That's a good plan if you have it like that. And then I'm going to get funding through here, and then here. Then every couple of years, I'm going to raise the rent. I'm going to do tenant. Like, that's a fantastic plan. And I can go, okay, you're going to reach your goal. Hey, you're not going to reach your goal, right? Like, you can measure that. But when it's like, yeah, I'm going to buy real estate, and then I'm going to get to that. Well, how? How are you going to do that? How are you going to fund your real estate? I don't know. Oh, okay. It's a great start, and I'm not beating up that plan, but we need to do some work. We need to sit down, we need to do some work, and we really need to draw out your plan, your strategy, and then figure out how that strategy is going to work with, different goals or different techniques and different plan of actions to reach that. And so, one thing I'll say is, determining how much you should invest in your IBC account. Again, it depends on if it makes sense, right? So is it going to reach your goals? And so one thing I like to do with my clients is, they say I want to be a millionaire. What I'll do is I'll start creating policies, start doing illustrations on where they're at now on finances, how much money they could contribute, if they can do a max dump, if they can do monthly, yearly, whatever the case may be, if their business can fund it, all these type of things to help build out an illustration. And the illustration is going to show, this is how much it's going to compound each year. Okay, at age 65, you're going to be a millionaire, and your death benefit's going to be $2 million. Is this where you want to be with just this one strategy? Because again, with this strategy, I can also build on it. Hey, at this year you can buy your first home. At this year you can buy your second home, because it's going to compound. And there's so many. I can go into IBC for days on that, but with this question, it's so complex, and I don't want to take up too much of your time, because I'm almost on 30 minutes. I always do this. I always go too long. But I would always say it depends. It depends on you. It depends on your health, because again, this is life insurance. I don't recommend this policy to everyone, because if you're older, if you're not as healthy, if you've got underlying health conditions, IBC is probably not going to be for you. If you got diabetes, this plan is not going to be for you. What I would say for you is, let's figure out, is your 401k Can you contribute to that? Do you have a Roth IRA? Can you contribute to that? Are there certain things that we can do to help build up your net worth where then you can loan off that net worth and buy real estate, buy businesses, stuff like that? So there's so many different things you can do, especially if your health isn't the best. You know what I mean? And we can always strategize that together and figure it out. But I'm not one that believes, hey, you got to have IBC. Like, I think it's great if you're young and healthy. It's a fantastic, you're not going to beat it. I'll say that 100% confident. You're not going to beat it. But if you're not young and healthy, if you're older and kind of sick, you got some underlying conditions, health conditions, then we need to look at other things. We need to come together. We need to build a strategy. Again, we don't give up. We figure out a different strategy that's going to work for you. That's going to get you the gains, the type of results, right? That are going to get you to where you want to be. And so I know that's kind of vague. It's just because it depends, man. There's so many different things that go into it. Some people want to be a millionaire, but they don't want to put the work in to get to a million. They want to be like, I want to be a millionaire, but I'm going to contribute, $100 a month. You're not going to be a millionaire, bro. Like, come on, man. You're spending all your money on junk. Like, I love you. This is from my heart. But you want to be a millionaire, you got to sacrifice things to be a millionaire. Like some people get lucky and they make a video that goes viral, but like most of us, dude, you got to grind. You got to put it in. You got to sacrifice. You got to have this, like think about like fitness. I love using fitness because most people can relate. I've been working out since I was like, 12, 13 years old, hard in the gym. Like, you don't see those results overnight. They're long-term gratification. We're so used to this short-term gratification where it's like, okay, hey, I'm gonna do this one investment into crypto. I'm gonna be a millionaire overnight. Bro, it's not gonna happen. Like, some people got lucky when the early adopters, but most other people lost a lot of money. I know friends that have lost hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. And again, I'm not trying to speak ill of crypto. I think crypto is a great investment if you'd have done it earlier, and then if you kind of get lucky in the cycles. But we don't know what's going to happen because we thought it was going to be. You got people that were believing it was going to be 100,000 by now, and all these different things. And I think you can make money in crypto for sure. But are you going to invest the time and the energy? Again, delayed gratification to get you the skills and the connections to be able to set you up for success and invest into it. If you're not, dude, you're going to get burned. Same thing with if you're day trading. If you're not putting that time in to learn about day trading, to learn about the perfect times to day trade, the different companies, the different graphs you should be reviewing, the different like news cycles, the different there's AI now that you can invest in that's going to help you make the best trades. It's going to look at all the information on that stock, what's kind of coming up in the news, the different events, the different contracts are going to go out that might help, raise that stock up. If you're not putting the time in and energy to learn that stuff, then, dude, you're going to get burned. You're not committed. And so, with that, again, investing, becoming rich isn't a one-day event. It is a delayed gratification, just like going to the gym. You put your time in every single day. You grind. You work as hard as you can, and then you do the same thing the next day, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day. And then after a while, you look in the mirror and you're jacked. Well, after a while, you look in your bank account, but your brokerage account or your 401k account or whatever your account is, your IBC account, and you go, okay, I'm getting there, and so. I know I kind of talked your ear off on that one. I just, there's just I love investing. I love this market, and I love what I do, guys. But the hardest part I've realized with people is their mindset. And I love helping people. I love helping people that are on the brink, right? Their mindset's getting right, and they just need a little nudge, like, hey, just do this, boom, and then they got it, and they're on fire. The people that are kind of way far over here that just are like, poor me, like it's not my fault, like I rich people are bad, investing's dumb, or whatever the case may be. Those people, obviously I can't help those people. I love them, but you know what I mean. Like they got to upgrade this. And this is, I'll be honest, guys, this has been the best investment I ever did in my whole life. It wasn't buying a business or whatever the case may be. It wasn't opening my first moving company and storage company and growing it to, what I did and all that kind of stuff. It really was. It wasn't even my master's degree, bachelor's degree, all that kind of stuff. It wasn't any of that stuff. It was going to seminars. It was reading books. It was upgrading my mind. It was getting around the best coaches in the world. Like that. That has been my greatest investment, and I guarantee it's going to continue to be my greatest investment. And so invest in yourself, guys. A little long-winded, I apologize, but great questions. I love these questions. I know they're higher level questions, and so I'm sorry if I lost you on this, but a lot of value. A lot of value when you start asking these questions and kind of digging into where you want to be and all that kind of stuff. And so I love you guys. I hope you guys have a fantastic week. Guys, we're almost out of April. That means it's time to grind. That means it's time to get on after it. We're going to be in May next week. And so you got to start taking action. Got to take action. This year's almost gone. And if you're still exactly where you were when you started the year, you really got to start kicking it up. And you got to start going into overdrive. Put your thing into overdrive and start getting after it. Because your time. If you wanted to make a big difference this year, you're running out of time. And you need to get it. Brother, sister, it's time to go. So I love you guys. I hope you guys have a fantastic week. I'm going to be posting more content this week. I love you. And let's get it.